Welcome back to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.
It is Tuesday, February 18th, and hopefully by now you have read through most of, if not all of, the February issue of the Lutheran Witness.
Hope so.
Hopefully it's been on your table for a while, and
yeah,
or in your bag. I don't know. Do you do the digital copy or do you do the paper copy?
Definitely paper copy.
Yeah. Old school.
It's true. I'm either paper copy or audiobook. That's kind of how I roll these days.
I do paper copy as well, but one of the things you might notice near the back, it's close to the back cover, is the Bene+diction article each month, and a good word at the end of the issue.
I love these.
The subtitle is there. And the author of this month's Bene+diction is Frank Kohn. He's editorial coordinator for the Lutheran Witness. Frank, thanks so much for joining us in studio this morning.
You're welcome. Good morning.
Your story was a very personal story.
Yes.
Which caught me. I was like, wow.
It struck him.
It did. It struck me. And Sarah asked me if I was injured by that.
I was a little nervous to write it because this is all about me. I know we're not supposed to do that because we're Lutheran.
But while it was about you, it was also your story then leads to a more important story. So it wasn't solely about you.
Right.
It was a story about you that I think is helpful to the rest of us. With the title here, why are we so fixated on being Lutheran? Aren't we all Christians here? I think that was intended to get our attention, right?
I mean, yeah, that's what article titles are for. Right?
Oh, okay.
I can still remember when I first had that thought too. I still played myself in that situation. I remember it vividly, actually.
So tell us a little bit about Frank Kohn. Now is serving in LCMS Communications, but who is Frank Kohn and your background with the Lutheran Church?
Background started when I was hired here at the International Center. Mm-hmm. I was not a Christian. I believed in God on his good days. That was my, that's what I would say back then. And, I knew something was out there and better than us. And I was hopeful for that too. Because I thought if this is the best, we have, I just want to end it right now. And, but I knew nothing. If somebody asked me who Jesus was, it's God's son, right? And I wasn't raised in the church. I was baptized, but I was not raised. But then it didn't, for whatever reason, did not go to church. And I get the job here in 2001. It's been almost 19 years already. And then a few years later, I was invited to church, and I've been there ever since.
What did Lutheran mean to you back then? I mean, working in this building that has Lutheran on the front of the building. Mm-hmm. What did it mean to you 19 years ago?
It was my previous job was working with a newspaper, and this was in Southern Illinois, in Waterloo, Illinois, and I was near Camp Wartburg. Mm-hmm. So a couple of assignments was to take photos out there for the paper, and I thought, yes, not gonna lie, I thought it was a little weird. So when I got the job here, I did it, for personal reasons. The pay was better, mm-hmm. and it was advantageous for me. And it was scary at the beginning, but I blended in okay. And, people were nice to me.
I'm just gonna hide at my desk.
Yes, yeah. And so, like I said, then a few years later, I was invited to church. Actually, it was for a trivia night auction.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course. That's so St. Louis.
and then since on that trivia night, our team won free auction tickets. So I went to the auction, and then the pastor said, "So Frank, when are you going to come join us at church?" And I thought, "Oh, here we go. Here we go." But then I went to church, and I've been there ever since. Mm-hmm.
I love the trivia night part of
yes.
that. That's great.
Who knew that trivia night could be a gateway to meeting?
You hear that, all those trivia night people?
But as far as who am I, and maybe as Christianity, I came to it very late in life, late 30s, early 40s, somewhere around there. Mm-hmm.
So this term Lutheran and Christianity, the title of your article, why are we so fixated on being Lutheran? Aren't we all Christians here? Or the quote from your article. What was your idea? What was your understanding at that time, 10 years ago or more, 10, 20 years ago, of Lutherans, Christians, these denominations? What was your understanding of that at that time?
I had no understanding of that, actually, because I had no understanding of basic doctrine or any kind of theology. if that makes sense. I think part of it, when I asked that question, why, what's this big thing about being Lutheran? Before I became a Christian, I would look at maybe as the Christian church as being exclusive. You had to be a certain, they only accept certain types or something, types of people. And maybe that carried over when I did become a Christian, I believe Jesus did this for me. He died for my sins. I believe this. And I thought, when maybe it carried over now with this Lutheran thing. Oh, now we're exclusive. This is exclusive, perhaps. But, I looking back on it, probably I was thinking, hey, what's the difference? We all let Jesus into our hearts. For people who can't see, I'm using the quote marks.
Air quotes,
yes. Yeah. And that's what I went with, yes.
So you had this trivia night, the pastor, you went to the auction, pastor invited you to church, and then there's this other journey then from that point.
Correct.
What then led you to really embrace the Lutheran doctrine, Lutheran faith?
That's a loaded question, isn't it?
No. It's a good question. As you go on, like I said, I wasn't still grounding myself in theology, in reading the Bible. I think I went from the point where, yes, this is the gospel. What do we do now? I think that's what it was about for me then was how can I, God, thank you for, you brought me into your family through Christ. Thank you. Now what do I got to do to stay in it? If that makes sense, so I don't get kicked out. And that's where I went with. And to make a long story short, of course, you do that. You try harder and you try harder, and you keep some kind of spiritual scorecard, which I mentioned in the article. Oh, today was a great day, and the next day was not a good day, and you go into despair. I'll have to try again tomorrow. I knocked down a few pegs today, and so basically it was more works based. And when you don't understand, I didn't understand Lutheran theology. That there's nothing I can do to keep myself in. It's been done. Jesus has done it. And so just you receive that. And now you go out and yes, you do serve your neighbor out of gratitude as a way of saying thank you to God. And you're so happy to do it. You're not obligated. I think, the Lutheran, what got to me about it was, yes, it's not an obligation. And when you look at it that way, you're only going to drive yourself to despair. And even worse, you project it on yourself. You have this tendency also to project it on others too, which was also a problem.
Who was instrumental in teaching you, helping you study the scriptures and teaching you and providing guiding you to the Lutheran confessions and the insights and the clarity that brings to your identity as a Christian?
It was a few things, but I can remember the DCE at my church, just for Christmas, he gave gifts to people who would serve. I was helping serve as a high school counselor at the time. And he gave me a copy of a book by Gene Veith, A Theology of the Cross. And that was an eye-opener.
Yeah.
That was terrific. And it was readable. Sometimes Christian books, especially by theologians, tend to just, at that time, that wouldn't have helped.
Yeah.
But that was, that was the way he explained things, and I still have it. In my fact, like the spine, it's ruined now, and I still go back to it. And what also helped was, I can mention it here because I know the shows. I think The White Horse Inn, some of those episodes, because they explain the gospel so clearly. And I know it's not a Lutheran show per se, but I know there's Lutherans on that show, which so there. They explain what the gospel was, and I just through that I was able to find out where I discovered where I was going wrong, what I had wrong, what I had dreadfully wrong.
That's interesting. The two things that were also very key in my formation as well. Both of those resources that you mentioned.
Look at that.
Yeah, we're probably close. Well, you're probably younger than I am. But the Theology of the Cross from Veith was just.
It's a great book.
It is,
okay.
and I think it's in. I think it's second edition now. Maybe I know it's been. Distributed widely. It's because it's such a useful resource in providing clarity in Christian vocation, particularly as Lutherans teach that from the scriptures.
And law and the gospel and the sacraments and just everything.
Right.
And the beauty of the Lutheran service too. And And yeah, when I used to say, what that book helped me with was I used to say, why do Lutherans always look to the catechism for things? It's, why don't we just pick up the Bible? And then I read Gene Veith's book. You know, he talked about, I mentioned that what's with the liturgy all the time? Isn't it kind of dull and repetitive, you know, monotonous? And then I read Gene Veith's book, and I was thinking, why don't we go to the Bible? And Veith explains, you know, it is in the Bible. The liturgy is from the Bible. The small catechism is it explains the Bible. So that was very helpful too, and eye-opening.
Yeah.
It's just the smelling salts I needed.
I like that. It's a good line.
I've never equated Veith's book to smelling salts. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, what you shared with us in this month's benediction, I think is very valuable and very, I don't know, certainly a story that I can relate to. Dear friends, check it out in the February issue of the Lutheran Witness. Frank, thanks so much for being our guest on the Coffee Hour today.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
The Coffee Hour with Andy and Sarah is a production of KFUO. To support the Coffee Hour and KFUO Radio, visit KFUO.org. You can also text KFUO to 41444 or send an email to gifts@KFUO.org. And you can call us at 800-844-0524. KFUO. Christ for you, anytime, anywhere.